Mr Carpen, yours was the first on the list. Can the committee revisit inviting Netherhall students to host a meeting with councillors now that circumstances have changed? What circumstances would they be, Anthony?
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This relates to several years ago. The committee sent a series of invitations to Netherhall School to invite them to host a meeting of councillors in the way that Coleridge had done. And the Coleridge visits actually turned out to be incredibly successful, not least because I'd spent 2 years campaigning to try and get the City Council to take young people's issues seriously, and had failed. And in one morning session, they had managed to change the council's policy, which was incredible for a group of Year 9 students. So the committee sent a series of invitations to Netherhall and got absolutely nothing back. And I think this was over the space of a year that absolutely nothing came back. Since then, much has changed, in particular in terms of the management at the school, but also in terms of just a wider political background, whether it's in terms of Brexit or whether it's in terms of the street protests that we're seeing young people from across the city taking part in protests, whether it's on climate change or school cuts. Now, I think, is an ideal time for local councillors to be going into schools and actually saying, this is who we are, this is what we do, tell us what your issues are. Thank you.
I've approached the schools in Trumpington since the school strikes have been going on, and I want to support the students and offered time to go in regularly to the schools there, and one of the teachers has got back, so I'm hoping to do that. And that I'm hoping to talk about climate change and the areas I'm responsible for, but also to encourage them to come into the Guild Hall and get to know, look around, and also encourage them to ask questions of us.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your question, Anthony. I absolutely wholeheartedly approve of the actions that students have been taking and young people have been taking recently. I've campaigned with them on school funding, and I've campaigned with them on climate issues, and I've happily allowed my children to use the time to campaign as well. So really supportive of the actions that young people have been taking, and not only that, but Councillor Taylor and myself were recently invited to Long Road Sixth Form College. We really enjoyed our trip there and having a look around, and also, even more excitingly, I think 2 Fridays ago I was invited to their neighbouring college, the Technology College, where we had a roundtable event with young people, and groups of 16-year-olds moved from myself, Heidi Allen, Councillor Scott, I think, for Labour, a gentleman for UKIP whose name I didn't get, and the Green candidate whose name is going to come to me in a moment. And we had a really fantastic time engaging with people who at 16 were just starting to have that political awareness and awakening to some extent, and trying to kind of explain where each party came from, perhaps having a little bit of fun with each other as we passed one group around to the next, to see what their views might be. And my understanding is that having kicked all of the politicians out of the room, they then had a vote, the result of which I've not been informed of, but I'm sure it was marvellous.
That's a problem.
Just briefly, end of last year I visited Netherhall School for an event which I met quite a number of students there, and we had quite a few good discussions with them, so things have happened.
Cool.
Can I ask a follow-up?
I've got some other questions here, but yeah,
to that particular point. I just wanted to know, as a result of all these meetings that you've just talked about, have you actually been able to change anything or address any concern that the children raised?
Well, the issues when I went to the event, I was talking to them as what we do, but they didn't actually ask about changes or what it was what they're doing and what you know, what's happening in their school.
Fair enough.
So they didn't ask me to do anything.
As I say, I wasn't privy to the vote, but these were groups of people that did not have strong political views when they started, did not have a long background or history or understanding of the parties, so I think we were giving the short pitch to each group, and I hope that it was helpful to them, but I couldn't possibly tell you if any minds were changed or made up.
Thank you.